Anyway, are you ready for the big main event, Brian?
Oh boy. This was a long show, and then came the main event, and all I'm thinking is I want to see how they're going to pull this off. Because what happened is what I thought would happen. The fans got so behind Orange Cassidy here wanting this Moxley stuff to end that they thought it was going to happen. And quite frankly, if there was ever a time to put the belt on Orange Cassidy,
Good Lord.
I'm not a fan of all this with AEW, but we're thinking like, Tony, this may have been the night based on the reaction.
Nah.
And then it just devolved into every bad Dynamite ending you've ever seen, all in one match. I don't know what happened here.
Well, first of all, they can't put the belt because they would have to live with that shame. They would have to live with that shame and infamy all through history because it would be written in their history. Pockets was the world champion. But and obviously they're setting Darby up for the thing, which, again, there's another 140-pound guy that can beat Moxley, but at least people like him.
Which thing? The wacky races idea I've had?
No.
But everyone just driving around cars crashing into each other? That was my idea?
They're going to do that for free on television, but it'll eventually be Moxley and Darby for the soul of AEW somehow. But you talked about just a second ago, the Hurt Syndicate dressing like stars, looking like star professional athletes. Moxley comes out dressed like he shops at homeless camps. He used to have some type of wrestling gear, didn't he? Now he just said, fuck it, a sweatshirt and sweatpants. And he came out first and he's the world champion, but since the building was bigger than or the crowd at least was bigger than there normally is on their tapings, it took him longer to get to the ring because he has to walk in from the parking lot. So the mascot came out second, and we had the world title on the line between Plumber Moxley and our little puppy Pockets. And they're doing the introduction, and at Jon Moxley, you're going to get Moxley out. Pockets runs over and hits him with a Superman punch. And then another one. And then another one. And then dives on him out on the floor, and they started the fight on the floor. We are 5 hours into this goddamn show, and every single match that they have had, except for Big Boom, AJ, and the Twizzler, has had fighting on the floor. And then Pockets goes over and gets on top of Moxley on one of the announce desks and hits like 20 fake punches where he's not even trying. No, they're not being registered because they're not making any contact. It's embarrassing. They fought into the arena and around the ring for minutes at a time. Another indie-style garbage match because that's where their minds are at. Moxley stomps Pockets into the stairs so he can get a little color. At first it was a pap smear, but then a little bit came eventually. Let's see. Moxley DDTs Pockets on the stairs. They haven't been in the ring in over 5 minutes at that point. Moxley pile drove Pockets for a 2 count. So again, even this guy who looks like just your average buggy whip armed fuck that might be at a local gym on the treadmill looking at his fucking phone. Oh, pile driver, that's a 2 count. And they went back to the floor and the desk and the stairs. And then Moxley would kick Pockets in the head and Pockets would ask him to do it again, so he would. And then Moxley would no-sell some of the other clown shit. And I read 12 minutes in, I wrote, it's old. It's way old. Then they traded the slaps into forearms. They had a slap fight, then the forearm thing, then Pocket stood there and let Moxley hit him over and over. And then he put his hands in his pockets and started kicking Moxley's shin. Again, they don't. And then Pockets hit 3 or 4 Superman punches and got a 2 count. And that's where Claudio and Pac showed up. And then O'Reilly and Rocky Romero and the Potato, Ishii, showed up and were fighting Pac and Claudio. So now 3 baby faces and 2 fucking heels. But I thought he told them, don't come out and help me.
That is what he said to him. By the way, what a babyface stable to save the other guy. Oh my God. Once Ishii's out there as the babyface making the save, it's ridiculous.
Well, O'Reilly is so skinny, he looks like an asparagus sprout. You've got Ishii's a potato. If Rocky Romero could impersonate a salmon croquette, you'd have a nice little dinner there.
I'm not even sure if the fans know who Rocky Romero is. Because all of a sudden he was just standing next to these guys, and he's never really been introduced in a meaningful way.
No, we know because he's been around for a long time, and he's wrestled in Japan. But no, he just started showing up. He's like a wedding crasher. He just showed up and mixed in, and nobody said anything. I wonder one of these days somebody go check his papers. And then Willow Nightingale came out and tackled Marina Shafir. And so they
that got a big pop. And,
well,
and they did it the right way, too. They didn't play her music. They let her just run out.
But think about this. Marina Shafir is the only one. Nobody's touched her. Nobody has had any offense on her. Nobody's done anything to her. She's been kicking the shit out of people. That's why they popped. Because they haven't seen it. They've seen all these people be bludgeoned to death. Which is another lesson for them. So then Pocket's got the briefcase that's allegedly supposed to have the title belt in it, but you can tell by the way they're swinging it around. That belt ain't in that case. It's an empty fucking Halliburton or whatever briefcase.
Where is that belt? When was the last time we saw it?
Did somebody lose it or pawn it?
In Cincinnati?
Well, you never know. Maybe it was put up as a side bet in one of those amateur jiu-jitsu tournaments or death jitsu. I'll put my belt up against your car, man.
I'll put my belt up against that big guy over there. Oh, I lost.
I used to have a belt. All right.
Yeah, there's some janitor walking around the AEW championship. I won this in a jiu-jitsu tournament the other day right here in the school gym. You wouldn't believe it.
The guy at Home Depot, he's got it hanging over the thing on his cart when he's pushing the lumber out to the parking lot. Anyway, they nailed Moxley with the briefcase, got a 2 count. We're 20 minutes into this thing. Then Moxley drew the referee's attention, and Pockets was milking the punch, but Moxley had the referee in the way, and there came Wheeler Useless into the ring and leveled Pockets with whatever and rolled out the other side. And then Moxley grabbed him and hit the fucking double arm DDT. At least he didn't drop him like he drops the Japanese guys, like they're Fabergé eggs. He dropped Pockets here. Cover 1, 2, 3, and the crowd went mild. It was like, ah.
Well, the problem was, again, like the Chris Statlander match, I think the fans there got hyped up to a point because of what was happening and the direction it was pushing in, they thought they were going to get the title change. And not only did they not get it, but someone who isn't over in any way in Wheeler Yuta, who's being shoved down everyone's throats because Jon Moxley loves him. This is his young boy. He got to pick anyone, and he picked the guy who isn't over that no one cares about.
You mean this is the guy that's washing Moxley's balls, at least whenever those balls get washed?
Well, he ran in there, and he interfered, and that was the finish. So it deflated people on a number of levels, and this may be one of the most deflated endings to an AEW pay-per-view ever.
Well, it's not quite over yet, as we'll get to, but that's the thing. Somebody's out there going to say, well, you're supposed to want the challenger to win. Yes, you're supposed to always want the challenger to win and beat the champion in the normal psychology of wrestling, but not because, oh, God, we're so sick of this fucking goof with his fucking belt. Can this guy just fucking beat him, please, and get it off of him?
You know what the other thing, too, is I think a lot of people don't understand history. So a lot of people are like, we're just doing stuff like the Four Horsemen, where we interfere and we keep the belts and we help each other. Fans got sick of the run-ins. Fans got sick of the shit finishes. They expected it. They would stand up and turn. Now, with Moxley's crew, obviously, you have to turn the other way. And
by the way, think about this. It was much less overdone and much more controlled, and they still got sick of it.
So I think, with the Moxley stuff, again, it's a slapdash crew of people. Claudio and Pac and Marina and We Were Yuta and Moxley, it's just not clicking. The ratings haven't been going up. In fact, the segments with them at the end of the show have nosedived. I think fans are ready to move on from this. AEW fans are ready to move on from this. And they had a glimmer of hope for a moment there. They lost that, and then We Were Yuta interfered to go right to the finish, which was a dead finish. And then there was a really stupid ending to the show. You're right, beyond the actual finish of the match.
Well, yeah, this is where I'm going to enlist your help here real quick because, okay, Moxley, DDT, 1, 2, 3. We're back where we started from. Moxley's the champion. And then Moxley and Wheeler grab pockets and hold him down and pour a bottle of bleach in his face. What?
When a plastic bag just won't do.
Unless we're going to have a bleach on a pole match. Why was that necessary?
Tony, is it okay if I feed him some Drano? Yeah, sure, John, whatever you want. Yeah, okay. Sounds great.
So they pour the bottle of bleach in his face, and the announcer said, oh, my God, that's why they clean the ring surface with that. And you can smell the caustic chemicals. And Hangnail Adam Page comes in, hits the ring, and hits Wheeler with a chair. And then Moxley and Page face off. So now Page is taking up for pockets. He's saving him. Is he coming back to take up for AEW? But before we can figure that out, Christian Cage comes in, who we know is a heel, and hits his finish on Moxley. And he's dropped the clipboard or the metal case that the contract for an AEW world title match that he's got is in. So Page reluctantly hands Christian Cage the contract case and leaves. So he came out just to hit a guy with a fucking chair and then left. And then Christian goes to cash in because he's laid Moxley, the other heel, out with his finish, but Jay White comes in, who is a babyface, we think, who fought Adam Page earlier in the night, but since Page is gone, White hits his finish on Christian Cage. But then Claudio and Pac come back in and beat up Jay White, and then all of Moxley's crew gathers together and leaves the arena. And the fans are standing there going, is that it? And then you cut to Moxley and his crew in the garage, and they're in their truck or their parking lot, the parking area. And they're going to leave, but a car runs into their pickup truck that they run around in the desert in. A car runs into it, knocks it sideways, so they turn around, give a big boot to the valet parking guy, grab a set of car keys hanging on a hook, and immediately the SUV is right there, and they've grabbed the right keys, and they jump in that and carjack that vehicle to get out of there, which, by the way, anybody that's ever valet parked a car knows it takes the valet 10 minutes to find your fucking keys. He's the one that put them there. And then as they steal the SUV and leave, it's Darby Allin in the car that ran into their truck, and he jumps out. That's right. You fucking leave, you fucking cowards. And he goes and tries to beat up their pickup truck with his skateboard and quickly finds out, I don't know how it used to be, but now that they got safety glass and the like, you can't do a lot of damage to a pickup truck with a fucking skateboard. But he was trying. So
he was bleeding too. Did he really did they say just crash that car into that car no matter what?
I guarantee you that he crashed the car into the other car and hit the fucking windshield because they're all idiots. And they think they can just do this shit because, well, we've established Darby's not that smart. But anyway, so I don't know what Adam Page was doing in there. He just stopped in to fucking hit a guy with a chair and then stare at Moxley and leave.
See, that was intriguing for a second. It was like, okay, this is different. I didn't even think about the idea of Moxley versus Adam Page. That's a interesting turn. And then once Christian comes in and then Jay White, it was just too much. Just people just one after another, and nothing was happening. Christian never cashes in this thing. Why did they have to copy Money in the Bank? Whose idea was it? Hey, we need Money in the Bank, and then Christian will keep teasing this thing forever, as if he's not annoying enough.
Besides that, why didn't we get to see whether they were pumping pumping Pockets' stomach or not, because he swallowed a half pint of bleach? How did he get out of there? Was he blinded? Did the bleach eat his retinas and they had to carry him out? What? People just disappear when their scene is no longer, active. So it's just a mess. Again, the 30 minutes to get the fucking match and the entrances out of the way, and then the bleach attack, and then the run in, and then run in number 2, and then run in number 3, and then run into in the parking lot with the car and the fucking and that was the end of that.
So, to my idea earlier of AEW Dynamite becoming less about wrestling, more about wacky
races
and tits. I joke, but I think we're on the road there. Everyone has a car.
What about wacky tits?
I don't, it sounds better in concept than I think it would play out in theory. Or
you may be right.
Or an execution, I guess is the word I'm looking for there.